Ta-da!
Early.
Early.
Oh,
Wonders would never cease, huh?
well, they say to be early is to be on time. Frankly, I'm uncomfortable being on time. Do you have a strong sense that sort of early type of people actually are the ones who ruin everything? Yeah, people who get up early. They assume there's automatic virtue, and then they set about unwittingly destroying everything that's good about the world.
To be quite honest, James, I feel that you are just describing me.
Yeah. It was thinly veiled talent and every life choice you've made.
Every single one of them. And I come here out of the goodness of my heart.
No, no, you're okay because you don't think being an early person, for you it's a circumstance, isn't it? Rather than some sign of inherent virtue.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
You know. I do think it's a bit odd. I can't help thinking that. I mean, do you have to discipline yourself to go to bed and avoid all the interesting things that happen at night? Or do you just run out of things to think about and go, it's 9:30, I may as well just close my eyes and become unconscious?
Well, it depends on what has happened the night before. Because if the night before was a really good night, it might be that the next day you just go, well, I'm going to have an early one.
Yeah, why not just have another late one if it was so good, though?
Our bodies aren't prepared for that.
Well,
the continual...
Just ignore your body. What's it ever done for you?
Yeah.
Mm. No, I'm obviously I'm lampooning myself when I say these things, but there's something about excuse me. There's something about when it's sort of when it's everyone's when people's bedtimes start is when you can be and do whatever you want because it's not anything specific time, is it? See, we're early and I've decided to just clean my palate more. That's how averse I am to being ahead of the game. And the bongs are going and I'm still...
That's true, yeah. It's kind of a first to have the bongs going in a live stream.
Yeah. Right. Well, welcome.
Before we start, like as we are a bit early, you might as well talk about your art exhibition again. Just make sure everybody knows about it.
Oh, I'm having an art exhibition. It is at Shaftesbury Art Centre and Gallery. From the 31st of July to 5th of August.
Is there parking? Everybody wants to know about parking.
No, I think you just have to drive past and see as much as you can. Just try and go slowly.
Yeah. Drive through.
Honestly, you'd spend longer looking at it than some of the people who came out for Art Weeks. They come through the door, they go, we can't stop long, our parking's running out. And I go, you may as well have not bothered then. Paintings, yeah? It really was like that. Yes, of course there's parking. Any other stupid questions?
Well, everybody likes to know about parking, James.
Right, okay. Yes, there's a...
Is there a vending machine on site? I mean, can you get a cup of coffee?
Oh, yes. But, I mean, where would you get you? Yeah, there's a lovely coffee shop next door called Pamplemousse.
Ooh.
I presume it's pronounced in the French way.
Yeah.
Or maybe in Shaftesbury it's called Pamplemousse. That's also possible. So are you gonna translate that for us? Or are you looking at up?
Well, Pamplemousse?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going to.
Well, I'm giving you the opportunity.
Oh, okay, well, Hugh, look that up. Sorry. Are we not communicating yet?
I believe it's grapefruit. That's what my brain's telling me. But mostly.
There's a band called Pumplums. Meaning
It might be not grapefruit.
yeah, meaning grapefruit. There you go. You didn't even need Google.
There's a.
I wonder if they're really good. Sorry, carry on.
There's a few good. I think that's where the French have really made a contribution to world culture, by naming things.
Well, they've given Brits an easy way to name something.
Yeah,
and it sounds quite
pomme de terre. How
Yeah.
great is that? Earth apple.
brilliant.
It's like, do we need another name for this? No, it's just another kind of apple, isn't it? Not much like an apple. It's an apple. It's just in the ground. Other than that, it's exactly the same.
Did you see the sign that we wrote on the boards the other day, which was like fruits that don't live up to their name? It's like banana, kiwi, whatever, and fruits that do. There was a whole list of them, and then fruits that do live up to their name, orange. I was getting really rather annoyed with Google in the fact that it's a computer piece of technology and it's trying to get me to confirm that I'm a human. I just hate the irony of that, but I'm going to save that Pomplamoose and see what they sound like later on.
So yes, you can get coffee next door, and
Yeah, no.
nice little tangent, wasn't it?
It could be like this evening. I'm quite tired, so
Oh,
conversations will go a bit round.
bless you. Yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say. It's called Window on a World, which is sort of a rather simpler way of having something to say about the nature of painting rather than getting all intellectual like I did last year. Because in a way, every painting is sort of, well, maybe not every painting, but yeah, the idea of a painting sort of in its little, unit, in its frame, it's sort of a bit of two-dimensional real estate. We treat it like a window. It's a place we can go in our minds, whether it's, it doesn't have to be figurative. It could be an abstract. It's still that experience of looking at this little or big box of stuff and disappearing into it. There's a kind of there's a little journey you go on there, sort of cross over into this other world, and that's something I wanted to put into people's heads a little bit. So the window on the world idea is just that simple. Little prompt as to thinking about how we approach a painting of a thing and why a painting might exist, of what it's there for, what it can do, and at its simplest level, that's the thing that happens. It can also make you want a cup of tea, which leads me nicely to tonight's subject.
That's a segue. Oh,
Seems
it's like that's like we practiced that.
Yeah, I feel like Richard Madeley.
Yeah. Just before you go into that, I like the fact that Josie's got on board already saying bonjour, actually bonsoir.
Oh, well, it's his bonsoir now, isn't it?
So it's, yeah, lovely. Nice to see you again, Josie. Tea, there we go.
Arrivederci. Yes, so the yes, so I've got some tea here. The story behind the tea is that it's my favourite tea, and every time it's on offer, I buy a couple, and so I've ended up sort of accidentally stockpiling Twinings. and this is a small portion of it.
So, I like the fact that Twinings could be coming to you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
run out of stock.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, say I could be angling for free tea, and honestly, if Twinings have been watching and you want to send me some free tea, don't bother. I'm never going to get through it. But thanks for making lovely tea. It's appreciated.
I had Mark on there as well, just saying hello. So, evening, Mark.
Lovely. Okay. So I'm just going to crack on with this. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's fairly self-explanatory. I did a picture a few years ago. Stuff. Of the boxes of cereal. Now, of course, all the boxes are different colours. They're all Kellogg's, but and so we kind of know the colours automatically. You know, you can identify brown flakes or crunchy nuts.
Oh yeah, if you've got the big
By that
like red K, you know.
Colour, but no, not you don't even need the logos.
Oh, okay.
You just a box that shape, that colour. That's all you need to see. They know this, and so yeah, I thought I would sort of revisit that idea, but obviously it's all the same boxes. There's a bit of sort of design on them, but I'm not going to be doing any of that sort of detail. But there is a fade from yellow into an orange at the bottom, but it's only right at the bottom. But there's these, it's the same colour, but different amounts of reflected light, shadow. Let's wake this one up for a moment.
With that.
I think I'm in focus. Oh God, I'm covered in getting fed up with all this. Tubes falling apart.
Is that the one that exploded out of the arse of it?
No, no. Right, that's been good entertainment. I don't know. It does get it anyway. Be more careful if it's very poisonous colours, but.
So based on the fact that each of the boxes is the same, what do you then sort of like? What do you think of as a painter to represent that on the page?
I've got a few interesting things going on here. But the top box is pretty much at my eye level. It means I'm starting up here, and then there's this sort of perspective that comes into play until I'm looking down at the bottom. I've got the geometry of them, which is interesting. And I've only got these flat surfaces, and obviously there's sort of logos and bits and pieces. There's also some reflecting light, so you can see the shine off here. And yeah, different things that are happening. So I've basically got one colour of box, but I have all these other things to do with it.
And it's the other little things that you do which will then differentiate each of the boxes.
Yeah, and sort of explain what's happening with the light and what's happening with all the other stuff. And at the same time, it's quite a fun structure. So when I was, before I could walk, I started walking around 10 months, I think. Speaking, less so. But I was fairly mobile, and this was from before. I can remember this because I have weird memories from being very young, which I know not everybody does. They're not the same kind of coherent memories that other people have. They're very clear moments in time that you know, a place that I was, and it's been stored, and I have access to that memory. So I can remember crawling around, and I used to. I remember it was the cupboard, I think it was under the sink. There was a sink with a window, and the cupboard's underneath it, and there was a cupboard, and it was underneath the sink on the right, and it had cups and saucers in it. Sort of quite utilitarian ones, you know, a bit like village hall ones or something like that. And I used to get that cupboard open, and I used to stack them up into piles, like make towers with them. And it would usually be cup and then saucer and then cup and then saucer. Alternate them, you know. and someone would always run in and sort of shout and clear them all away. And I never smashed any. Never broke a single one. But did they trust me with it? No. I thought I'd proved myself, but clearly not. Still a bit annoyed about that. You know, because I definitely
Did that explain the plastic cutlery that you and cups that you
Yeah.
got upstairs?
I definitely could have gone a bit higher than I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've always liked making things into piles. So I'm just going to go for I'm going to go for a little walk around. I'm going to find my way around. I've got that there, and then it wanders up here, and then I've got that one, and it sort of comes back down, and I've got here, and then I've got this bit in front, and that's sort of going there, and I get a bit of a journey going on here. I've got this lovely sort of shadow behind. Do I want the side of that box in? Maybe I move the whole thing over a bit. Let's make it a little bit unstable. That's quite fun. Cause a bit of nervousness.
There's something about for me, a mobile phone that's just ever so slightly hanging off the table.
All right.
I really, yeah, can't do it. It's part of me now that just wants to. Right, brilliant, and thanks for coming to the live stream. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
Okay, let's get some sort of light darks in there. I don't want to be too. I quite like that little wandering journey. Getting a sense of what needs to go where and where it's going to end up, and that's going to be here and something like that. And that's about right. Okay, I can just start putting some drawing in. Yeah, it's a fairly comfortable way to find my way around the canvas.
Could a canvas ever get sort of too wet with paint?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. You can get to the point where you can't get any more on, but then you can take it away again. You can certainly with things like watercolor and stuff, you can end up waterlogging the surface, and then you just got to wait for it to dry. You can try and mop some of it up, but it's already broken through the sized surface. Mm-hmm. So anything else you put on will cauliflower it. You've broken down the size and sizing, and then it'll just act like blotting paper after that.
Is it cauliflower it?
Oh, sorry. Cauliflowering is when, well, you know when you put ink onto blotting paper and it sort of spreads out in all different directions. So you get that, watercolour paper is sized, so it's got a layer of usually kind of gum arabic, sort of any kind of water-based glue. And it means the paint sits up on the surface.
Okay.
Right? And spreads out on the surface rather than just sinking in. Otherwise it would just behave like blotting paper, that's what it would be. Once that sizing is kind of broken down, there's then it turns back into the blotting paper, and so a piece of pigment water will just spread out radially from the surface where that sizing has been broken down until it sort of hits a limit, and then it's almost like a tide. Mm-hmm. And it leaves this edge, which looks like the shape of a cauliflower.
Oh, there you go.
That's what it's called, cauliflowering.
I think it's quite good how we've got it set up this evening, because as you turn and you talk to me, it looks like you're kind of talking to the big camera in there, which is brilliant. Ticking the box for us. Well done, us.
I think I can give you the credit for that.
So have you got enough material for your art exhibition?
No.
Excellent.
Yeah. Kind of 10 times over, but I want to do new and better stuff. But that's always the way. It's always the experience. It's that I think, oh, I'll do all these new paintings. They'll be really decent, and not like the rubbish I've already done. But actually, there's a thing of like, once you put stuff up, you get to see it in a new way. And yeah, so the most concerning thing is, do I have enough frames? Which I think I'm okay for now. But quite a few of those to finish. But that's going to be all right. And what, I could just like this. There we go. So my little journey makes sense now, I think. It's quite fun. That's a little bit. There we go. Something like that. Ta-da! Fun. Okay, I guess I'll mix some colours. Now, was I talking about something? I'm sure it couldn't have been important.
So wins of the week since you were here last week?
The what? Who? Sorry?
Did you have any wins of the week? Did you like?
What are you talking about?
Well, since last week, you know, anything that's cropped up and is like, yeah, that's brilliant. I was really pleased with that.
Do you have that happen?
Yeah, yeah. You got to look back at the week that was, or they all blend into one.
I understand the way you live your life.
Yeah. So amazing we're friends, really, isn't it?
Wins of the week.
Yeah.
That's like the musings of a idealistic child.
Well, actually, I don't know whether anybody that was watching the last week's one realised that as soon as the cameras went off, James did a very happy dance because he was really pleased with how the painting turned out last week. And to be honest, I was a bit disappointed that the cameras were off, but you know, Twinkle Toes over here did a really good job.
It's not gonna. Well, it's not really a dance, is it? It's more of just a sort of
A jig.
little shuffle. You're turning out, making out I turned into Fred Astaire or something, which is.
Yeah, they're these blue suede shoes we got put on.
Yeah, break dancing.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it was lovely to see though, because it's yeah. Josie says, I'm intrigued to know how you'll do that tin foil.
Aha. The trick is, whatever you do, don't paint tin foil. Yes. I'm going to have to avoid the tin foil and just trust it to come out. Now, this is going to be interesting. I'm sort of starting off with a bit of this yellow down here. I'm going to get some of this brown and put some white there as well. Again, just use this mixing white, so I don't want it to darken too much. Okay. Do that again, and this time I'm going to make it into a well.
Yeah, the part that we mentioned as well was maybe offering out and seeing what other people would like to see James paint.
Yes, any requests will be considered.
Be noted and
Okay, so I've got my dark colour here. Take some of that yellow to see what it does. Too brown. Too brown enough. This is going to be a really interesting sort of tonal exercise. Sort of works to the side of that box there. This one again gets lighter again. I'm going to need some quantity of paint for this. So I'm going to go again and get all that mixing white, half of that yellow. Okay.
do you have a favourite colour that you enjoy working with? As in sort of the actual oil paint?
You mean pigment?
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, do they all behave in the same way as you're using them?
no, they're quite different. They've all got different tinting strength. They've got they grind up differently, so that they sort of offer different consistencies, and also they mix with oil differently, which means they have a different quantity of pigment. I've got an orange to go in here as well.
Is the geeky stuff like that written on? Is there a sort of measure for, you know, how viscous a particular oil is going to be, or?
Yeah, I mean there's different. Yeah, I don't know if that's a useful question. I get what you're getting at, and I don't mean that as a criticism at all. I think it's, yeah, what would be the question to ask? I suppose it's more that there's some paints which are only useful in specific situations, and there's a lot of things they can't do.
Okay.
And yeah, so like a lemon yellow isn't good for mixing colours. Does that make sense? Creating variations on that yellow.
Right.
You'd only need it when you need that really intense colour.
Okay.
If you want to make other things more yellow, the weakness of it, the fact that it has a slight white content, there's all sorts of things which are really disruptive when you're using it in a mix. So you generally use a different kind of thing for mixing than you would for, even though it can't get as bright as a lemon yellow can get. I really don't use lemon yellow at all. What I tend to do is get cadmium yellow, put a little bit of viridian in it, and some white, and I can show you now. Actually, have we got a close-up thing with the?
Yeah, the palettes on display.
Okay, if I get a little bit of viridian there, Okay, so I get a little bit of white. Okay, and I put a bit of cadmium yellow into it. Feels quite bad. Put a bit more than that even. Okay, but it's still slightly warm, but the viridian cools it off and it tips it over into a greeny yellow. So that's really pretty much like a lemon yellow now, and you can see how different it looks to the. And you can go even a little bit further, and you still there's this threshold where it turns into green, but I'm a little bit short of that, and that's a far more useful colour to add to a mix than the lemon yellow that would come out of a tube a lot of the time. Depends. So you can shift colours that way. But there's some things that only a lemon yellow would do. But most colours, you know, they've got different. The things to pay attention to are things like transparency. That's what people don't pay enough attention to. So if you end up with streaky paintings, you're quite likely using transparent paint straight on. And if you've got two transparent paints, you might be making a mix. But yeah, you need to be controlling the opacity, usually with at least some white content. Unless you're doing glaze, in which case you want transparent colours.
Digressed a bit, sorry.
Yes. I'm still finding my way around with these. Actually, that lemon yellow is going to come in useful. I will use that somewhere. I've got this. Yeah, this is sort of going towards the greeny yellow. It's going to go towards the orangey over here.
Not meant to interrupt again, but Susan Trester has,
hello, Susan.
she's just messaged, lovely message, says, "Hi James, that looks really difficult. I'm watching you from my hospital bed, having had a new knee. All is well."
Oh, well, that's good to hear. And
get well soon.
Yes. So I presume they took away one of the old ones before they. Imagine someone with 3 knees. That's greedy. Oh no! Oh well, all the best with that. No, nice to see you out again. And I'm glad I can entertain you as you convalesce. Yeah, this is a tricky one. But if I close my eyes and blur my vision, actually, there's only a few things going on. And I should be able to find my way. I've got this slightly greeny, shadowy one here. I'm going to take a bit of that, put a bit of the orange in it, tiny dab more red. And I make a warmer shadow colour here. And I don't know if this is going to be spot on, probably not, but it will give me some idea. I'm going to want a lot of background colour. So I'll use up the rest of my mixing white here. I'll put these at the front. So it's unbleached titanium. A little bit pinker. There we are. And that'll do for starters. I'll probably spread this quite thin. It goes on. A bit lighter as well. And I'm using the same dark as the shadow colour. It's going to be slightly purpley. Probably darker than that. Okay, and that should tie everything together. So if I just splodge this in as a ground, hang on, what else am I going to need? I'm going to need some of the black from the boxes with the print on the boxes. It's a bit of burnt umber. Chuck a load of blue into it. That's a nice neutral, fairly soft black colour, which I can add accents to as I go along. Okay. Kind of use that for the base as well. I'm going to use a bit of thinners just to get it on there. I think I'll start with some of that background, get some of the light in. Down this board as well. The size of the box is going to be important. Let's go there. It's going to come in here. So where the shadow goes up there. Where else does this go? This goes up here, really. Okay, let's do some of the shadow colour, put some of that in there. Get a bit darker as it goes along. But do it with the brush mix. Yeah, I'll do it. Something like that. It's got a lot more red and orange into it. Got a bit of orange in there around the edges. Just start interpreting right from the off. A bit more red on the inside just makes it on the surface fine. Is it doing it? Yeah, that's kind of it. Lovely. Okay, so if I start with my darker greens, well, yellows, that is, more than that. I know, tedious, isn't it?
The person doesn't realise we're doing a live stream.
Yeah,
Terrible behaviour.
it's almost as if it's not important to them at all, isn't it? Okay. There's a bit in. I'm going to put that corner in with it. Bit in there. Okay, don't want to get too caught up in little things too soon. Okay, there's a bit in here. Just trying to find the bits that are greener, and I'm going to the bits that are yellower and warmer. Okay, I've gone too far over there. So yeah, a lot of interesting shapes to sort of piece together. It's quite tempting to go into the small details early on, but yeah, it's a bit here. If I'm not too sure, I can just sort of patch a few bits in, change them up later. That will work. Right, so some of it's sort of bluer, so I'll pop a little bit of that in here. So yeah, it's going to help. Well, there. No, it's too dark. perhaps to get dark in here. Bluer in that corner as well. And on that side. Now, a bit more orange. Let's go into the orange. We'll move it there gradually. So we some down here. Tonally similar. So I'm quite comfortable with that. Same with here. So we'll get orange at the top. A little bit in there. Yeah, this is quite interesting. It works really well, especially for here. Even redder at the bottom. Bit that there too. Enough paint going on that I can kind of mix on the surface. And then make a darker version of it. Go all the way in there. Just come back out to the yellow here. Even a bit more actual yellow. Hey. Bit paler there. So yeah, this is kind of flowing. This wandering from one colour to the next and trying to find how they all go together. A bit more of this pale yellow here. Doesn't quite work, but it does there. No, it gets green to that side, so use the extra what's on the brush. Okay. That's not right. Let's do that up. So it's red into the corner. That's interesting. What have I done here? That's what. Okay. I can always come back to these colours if I find I need to do more of them. Get some more of this dark colour here. A little bit of the yellow in it. Just in the corner. Let's put in that shape. There, is that going to be right? Doesn't feel quite right. Yeah, maybe that's a bit more like it. Okay, have another brush for the background colour. Let's just update that slightly. Mix more in that as we go along. Okay. I'm going to put some of this sort of middling yellow in. So there, that's a kind of a middling yellow. It's quite strong, it's quite high chroma. Okay, I get too fussy if I'm not careful. Like it, but I have made an error, which I'm enjoying. I'll put there. That'd be too bright. I feel like it's too bright. Go there. Just an edge on that. This has got it too. I'm keeping this pretty much a flat colour. I'll add the nuances afterwards.
So when you're painting things like gradients, is it better to do a mix on the palette rather than trying to kind of
Yes.
get the right?
Yeah, if you try and blend it on the surface, you can do that, but it's actually, you don't have all the information. So you can make it work, but that's your one shot at it. And if you need to make adjustments, you know, then you're not in control anymore, and you kind of will almost have to start again. Whereas if you mixed it, then going back to the palette, changing your mix and doing it from there, it's a lot easier. So let's see. Hey. Some lemon yellow going in there. Okay, sort of getting a structure turning up now, which is kind of interesting. I go across to my oranges. There's a few of these to go in here. Down there. Yeah, lumps. Do not want lumps in my paint. Once that orange is on, I can sort of just work more red into it. Down here like this. There you go, that's too much. Same kind of thing there. So it's darker colours. Yeah, okay. It's my lighter orange colours, which are around here. We'll get some of those patterns and things later on.
Just realised, James, I got the number of the friend who works at Twinings. So I just messaged him and saying you're doing the live stream.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do? They like?
Oh, he used to work there. Now works for one of their sort of subsidiaries, but still is very close to all the stuff that goes on within Twinings.
All right. So you didn't just actually message someone who doesn't work at Twinings?
No.
Yeah. So this box is off, way off. That corner needs to be around there somewhere. So it's good that I have this background colour to change things up a little bit, including yeah. Okay, so the last bit, I guess, would be really brighten this up. Do a much lighter version of that peachy colour. This is going to come into play here, here, there. So we'll into that, but I'll come back to that later. There we go. That's quite fun. Where else is it? That's a bit here.
So you're leaving that foil well alone at the moment as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this sort of snazzy design makes my job a lot harder. They didn't really think about it, did they? Oh, let's have some lovely graphics. Oh, you know what that'll work for as well? Or will it? Yes, it will. also have a little bit of greeny colour. Awesome. Got that shine on it. This a little bit. Only a little bit. Yeah. Ah. Oh, while I'm in here, this can get yellow, even brown actually. This should do for browner than that. This actually, there's this sort of shiny foil. It's going to have some of that on the side. Actually, it's green at the side there. Let's get back to the green. There's a whole load of that there. So this friend of yours has stayed like close to tea then.
As well as subsidiary companies that is with. This is like food and beverage company, so he's
Right.
amongst one of those now.
I'm just imagining like someone in charge of more than one packing machine. That's all I can think of. I'm imagining if I worked for Twinings. Other than putting tea bags into one of those foil bags and sealing them up, there's no part of my imagination can grasp what's actually happening to make all that come together. There we go. Okay, that's very brown up there.
Coming up to the 8 o'clock point.
Okay.
So it's interesting. It's like on a lot of our other streams that I've worked with you on, we've not been this far along after an hour's point.
Well, it's hard to tell how far along it is,
Mm.
if I'm honest. That needs to be a lot darker. So actually there might be an awful lot more finishing up to do. What I can do, I guess, is what's that? Okay, I was saying something that important. Oh yeah, right, I'm going to chuck a few of these dark blacks and bright yellows in. So there's probably going to be a bit of scraping going on later on, but while this is here, darker and greener. Yeah, it's all a roll now, isn't it? Right. Get some of this back going. That's a nice straight corner there. That starts to turn up there. Should put things like that in. Hmm.
Oh, I've got the delights of a chatbot contacts you, James.
Oh, who's that?
Expanded KF. Hello, sorry for bothering you.
Oh, gosh. What was it? Do they want NFTs?
No, they want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, views, chatbots, etc. The price is lower than any competitor. Quality is guaranteed to be the best.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. It's nice we got one follower.
Oh, it's so absurd and pointless, isn't it? That whole game playing. Counting how many followers you've got and all that kind of thing. Yeah, keeping this really quite. Getting caught up in details. Yeah.
I think my favourite box has got to be the middle one so far on the...
This one here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. It's so predictable. It's the worst one. Only an idiot would like that box.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Well, I don't like to disappoint, that's all.
Yeah, it is. So I'm being mean.
I really like the shine that you managed to get coming through. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so here's that lemon yellow I was talking about. Make that work on the top here. It'll look that bit brighter. just on the top of here and a bit on the front of here. Kind of working already, isn't it?
In order to sort of answer Joshi's question of like, I'm intrigued to know how you'll do that tinfoil, and you've just sort of starting it. So what's the method that you'll look at when you're
Look at things, try to forget what it is, try to mimic the shapes and textures that you see, and then find out what comes out. And if it doesn't work, scrape it off. Sometimes you do it, you scrape it off, and then after you scraped it off, it looks right. It was actually when you tried to paint it on purpose, it looked wrong. There's a lot of triangles. That's the main thing I'm noticing. Okay. There's some bits of strong colour, especially with this.
I guess as well, the association with the tea boxes means that it gives your mind an idea as to what that is going to be, and so it will make up its own mind as to what it will look like.
Yeah. So yes, you're already primed for seeing a foil bag. Presuming, of course, you're familiar with foil bags. Now there's some little bits, interesting bits of colour. There's some bright highlights going to go on this, but they're specular highlights, so they're kind of concentrations of light. Rather than so anything gradual, which means, and they're quite yellowy, which means you've got to get the colour behind them first. So that's going to be a specular highlight in there. Right, so there's an orange which is turning up in here, a little bit in there. It might be reflecting. Down here.
I would have also put you down to being a tea leaf sort of person as well. This has actually really opened my eyes to you. That you use tea bags.
Oh right.
I thought you'd
No,
use loosely.
I thought you'd gone.
Gone a bit AWOL.
Well, where I'm from, you're calling me a thief.
Oh, really?
Just giving you a minute.
I thought you'd use tea leaves. No. No, that's gone over my head, James.
You called me a tea leaf, didn't you?
Oh, for God's sake. I can only apologise. 1-0 on the dad joke.
Not a joke at all. Yeah, no, there is still an instinct that picks up on that kind of thing. I never really realised how many of my friends use like sort of rhyming slang, mostly in a sort of mucking about, kind of having a laugh at it kind of way, but they would actually communicate with it, you know.
Mm.
Just,
What amazes me is that a lot of them are actually longer than just saying the word itself.
yeah.
Like dog and bone phone. You know,
Yeah,
it's
well,
like
the whole idea was to so that people didn't know what you were talking about, especially the old Bill. I think that was originally the thing, the way of having conversations without maybe in prisons and stuff like that.
Are you on a bit of a roll, or is it time for a?
I think I am. I'm going to.
Okay, cool. We'll go through.
Few marks that starts thin, it gets thicker.
Another inconsiderate piece of transport there, isn't it?
Oh, shine off this whole side of this box. Yeah. Well, I was going to get some of those bright bits on and take it from there, really.
So something I've noticed that you do quite a lot, James, is that when you don't seem to focus on an area of the painting, and you'll kind of sort of dot about. So are you constantly just looking at the painting as a whole rather than focusing on one area and kind of getting that area done?
Yeah. It's sort of both. That everything exists in a context, and if you're not keeping an eye on the context, then you get sucked into, specialist information which isn't actually that useful.
Then is that a skill that you have to kind of learn when you begin painting?
I think it sort of naturally develops out of necessity. You're trying to create an impression for the viewer, so that they're going to open their eyes and they're going to see a whole load of stuff, and you know, have a whole world described to them instantaneously before they get a chance to think about it. And then, yeah, by the time that's sort of established, that's most of the work's done, really. So you've got to have everything's got to hang together, or it's not going to make sense on its own. So there are a bunch of different things happening. So that's quite right. Reflected colour. It's a bit pink. Down there. Yeah, I'm not mixing enough paint here, but it's for a bit of the foreground, so it doesn't matter that much. Yeah.
It's an interesting reflection under that one, isn't it?
Hmm. So going on over here. A little bit brighter. Top. I did have a pale yellow up. Put a bit more on here. Yeah. Oh, nearly there. So yeah, here's the thing I can do. Get a bit of that background colour I can put a bit of that in here. Create a few nice little bits of reflection that refer back to that background colour. Probably enough of that. Get some of this goldy colour. I did a bit of that, but a few of those shapes in. Probably do for that. Oh, I lost it. Right. And then really bright yellow highlight colour. Pop that onto that, onto there. Is that too much? Is that not enough? Don't get too carried away. There you go. Let's do a pale version of this greeny colour. Bits and pieces on. I've already done that. Let's make a very pale blue over here. This is the one that's going to have that effect. Blue is really going to help, I think. Even bluer one, green in it. This will have a few highlights coming out. Yeah. Even mix in a bit. A bit in there. Does that look like foil yet? It's hard to know. So it goes along here. Oh yeah, there we go. Something like that, isn't it? Sure, I could do more with it. A bit of this blue in.
Perhaps one week we'll do a ball of tin foil.
Oh yeah, oh that would be great. See, that's the kind of idea. I'd like to do a bit more of that kind of thing. To be honest.
Ball of tin foil, glitter ball.
Okay, I am going to have a pause, and then how long we got? Half an
hour? Yeah, well, yeah, 35 minutes.
Right, I'm going to come back for a 15-minute flourish. It's worth having a pause when you need one. I could rush through it and wish I just stopped for a minute. Because at the moment I stop, I'll spot something.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right, you're going to put on the time lapse. Don't go anywhere, please. And we'll be back with the last 15-20 minutes. Thank you very much.
it.
And we're back. Hello again.
Mm. I think I know what I need to do now. Oh, no, there it is. I have this little tool called Colour Shaper, which is very useful. It's good for taking bits of paint away. So when it comes to little sort of details, especially when I'm putting the darks in and stuff like that, and if I want to hint at some lettering and that kind of thing, it's going to come in very useful. So yeah, okay. So I'm going to get a couple of smaller brushes, not much smaller, not teeny tiny ones, but yeah, just one size down now. No, I don't want one. Actually, I don't want it to be too small. I want it to be big enough that it can form a kind of a sharp edge. So it's got a kind of a blade on it. I'm going to go back into mixing. I'm going to need a few good strong colours. Mix up an orange here. That's nice and bright. I'm going to start with the brightest bits. Bright yellow as well. And then work my way down. And I might need to sort of clear a few spaces as I go along. And there. So let's start with, okay, so a blob of that orange going to go here. That's too much of a blob. Just take the edge off that. That's not enough. Let's overextend that. We can always, so I'm going to come back in with a bit of that in the corner as well. Where else am I going to need a bit of this? I'll pop a little bit in there just to put an edge on that. A little bit here. A little bit on the front of that. A bit here. There's little graphics and things that they put on. Right, okay. It's going to go on there. It's part of the shine. It's a bit brighter actually. I'll go over to my pale yellow. Got this sort of edge on the cardboard there. Let's have a little edge here. Some more of that yellow comes across, but I'm not going to do that yet. Go across to my very bright yellow. Right on the edge of that shadow. It's here. I'm trying to keep it quite loose. Yeah. top here. Ah, I'm getting clumsy now. I'll do it though. Probably should have left that alone. Yeah, it's bits where it's got to sort of thicken up a little bit. It's tricky as well. So I've got this light that I use. I probably haven't talked about it that much, but it's you can see it is set above, and it avoids very strong changes from the top of the image to the bottom, which is good for photographing, you know, like having a camera on it like now. Clear a few spaces out. Hello. Oh, right, let's talk. Big yawn.
So that tool that you have, is that a specific tool for this, or is this something that you've made, or?
No, that is a specific tool. I also use silicone spatulas like this, which is good for sort of logging. So previous live streams have featured a little moment called Spatula Madness, which is, well, I sort of have a bit of panic because nothing's quite behaving itself. And you just sort of hit the whole thing with the spatula and it softens it all down a bit. That can be redder, cooler red. Like that. There we go. Yes, so no spatula madness today. Sorry, spatula fans.
Just lost 3 people that were watching.
Oh, there's no spatula. What's the point?
Because at some point we need to go back through the videos and just take out all the spatula bits and put them as one video.
Yeah.
Or I could hide the spatula somewhere in the room. When you need it, you then have to try and find it.
That would infuriate me. Okay, kind of getting there with this this sort of reflected foil bit. Paint it over here, it's a bit more light on that bit. That's kind of working. Soften that in around, and then we go back in with the proper black. Yeah, use this orange. There. Right, what else was I doing? Oh yes. tidy that up a little bit. Same thing here. Oh, there's again. Orange, no, redder even. Okay. Right, talking about having this sort of blade on a brush. Once the paint's at the right consistency. To the whole royal appointment thing, I'm sure that's very important to them. So.
Is there more of a challenge for you as well, painting items that people recognise and know? Because there's always, well, I know what that looks like.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, years ago, I used to do a lot of commercial stuff, and every now and again, you'd be doing like a chalkboard or something, you know, for a pub or a restaurant, and you'd have to do the Coca-Cola logo, and you just can't get that wrong. You know, it's got to be bang on, or it just looks stupid. There is a very good the Radio 4 guy, John. Oh, if anyone can remember his name, that would be helpful. He was a very Radio 4 comedian, but also very good. John Thingy's souvenir program. What's his name? He's still going. Anyway, he's a very good artist. And he did a wonderful thing. You can find them online, I think, where he sort of illustrated his own sort of radio sketches. And one radio sketch was an interview with the man who paints ice cream vans with popular Disney characters, which are just slightly off. And you've got to get it just right, because either you'd end up getting it right or it would be completely off, and then that would be no good. But these are just slightly off, just the right amount, which is a very familiar kind of thing for a lot of people. I think that's sort of that is a feature of ice cream vans, isn't it? Type of sort of a slightly wrong Donald Duck on it, or whatever it might be. And
but is that due to copywriting laws as well?
No, because it's too accurate for it to not to. It's quite clear what it is. But this is a thing, isn't it? That but the point is it's hard to get them bang on. And if you don't get it bang on, it just looks a bit disturbing. Okay, I'm going to put some deep red in here in this shadow, simply because I can, and it's cheeky. Oh, look at that. Let's pop a bit in there as well. So warm that up. Let's pop a bit down here. Where else? Pop a bit more in there. Something now. What's this doing? Okay. Warm that up. Make it a bit grayer. Still some of that yellow. It's going to go here. And on here. Come back in with the black afterwards, actually. Fix that up. It's going to have the same thing here. Yeah. Let's go back to this black colour. Blue and is that too green? It is. How's that going to work? Like this.
I think my favourite box has changed as well.
All right.
Go on.
You're fickle, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's this one now, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
Fickle and predictable.
Right, I'm going to have to do some of this lettering. Be bluer than that even. Now I'm going to go all out with the black for the lettering. It's going to be a sort of a halfway house with a bit of this orange mixed in. Dark about there. It's got to line up with the perspective of the box. Now I'll mix a really dark black. Transparent colours going in here. Put a bit under there. Put a bit to here. Oh, I missed off one of my yellow bits. Using that same brush. Yeah, that's around here somewhere with that. Nearly there. Coming together, isn't it? Okay. Some deep shadow under that. Okay, now I'm now approaching the fiddling point. Just a bit of brown. Put that in there. Since I'm this committed, I may as well finish it properly. Give myself a couple of minutes just to polish this off. I was getting the big brush out again. I was getting a bit of this yellow, putting it into a bit of this background colour, lightening it up a bit. Tiny bit of pink. Just livening up some of that background just to give it a proper edge where it needs it. Should bring it to life a little bit, especially if I start putting this around the shadow sides, which is coming next. Here, it's really going to do a job. I'm going to need more of it. reinforces the structural nature of my tower of tea. So I was thinking about titles. Stockpile is one obvious option. But I'm always happy to receive suggestions. So I like to think if I was worried about the end of the world, and there's like some kind of survivalist, like those ones they have in America and stuff, then this would be a very British stockpile, a very British bunker. How about that? So while you're waiting in your bunker for everything to blow over, it's the main thing you'd need.
Tea does make everything better.
It does, and it's sort of, I know it isn't a substitute for food, but it's pretty close. Okay, I'm going to soften that. And go into my shadow colour, bring that down a little bit. It's going to have to be. Is that time?
No, yes, it is actually. Yeah.
Right. So it's not 1/4 past.
No.
Oh right. Okay. Well, I'm making better time than I thought I was then. Okay. And because of these structures, I want to finish that off nicely. So let's get some of that black. Let's mix it with some of that background colour. Let's see what that does. A bit more blue. I'll do all this with a brush mix, because this doesn't have to be super. What do you call it? No, it's going to be even darker than that. Okay, so that's there, and then it gets lighter. Slightly pinky way. Yeah. Right, okay, I'm definitely fiddling too much now. Yeah. I think that's probably it, isn't it?
Mm.
Any other little bits and pieces I could do? Let's have a little bit of that shine.
Wording of the twinings on the middle one at the bottom.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
And it also hasn't got the black circle in the top left-hand corner of that one.
Yeah, and this one too. Can't quite get my brush to point in the right direction on that, so I'll just accept it.
They need to change the logo anyway.
Yeah, do you think they will now?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they don't want my painting to look wrong. I imagine they're very worried about it already. Right. There's a proper bit of highlight on there.
Hey there.
I think that's probably it.
Otherwise, you're just going to be quote unquote from you, faffing.
Fiddling. It's the enemy. Which is what I just did there. I wasn't happy with that orange. It was too much. I'm going to put it back a little bit. There we go. And I think that is, yeah. What do we reckon? A very British bunker, or I didn't do the greens either.
Oh yeah, the squares in the corner. Why is the shadow behind the right-hand box lighter behind the box? Because
Is this Dawn?
No, this was Josie.
All right. The shadow behind the right-hand box.
Well, you've got a light behind 17.
This is the shadow from this pile here. So that's the thing that's going on there.
But you have also got a light that is coming from behind the boxes as well, so there's less of a shadow coming through.
Yeah.
Or it's removing the shadow.
Oh, lighter behind the box here. Because that's a reflection of the shadow, which is still lighter than the dark bit of the box reflecting. I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? I guess it's just a matter of how much light is bouncing around. And sometimes, especially when colour is involved, our brains start lying to us. But we'll have a little close-up. Oh, you know what I will do?
Have you got your phone on you?
I will sign it.
That's mine. So we could do.
It might be... might be upstairs. I suppose I ought to sign this in yellow, oughtn't I?
So she means above, but it gets lighter on its top.
Here?
So.
Yeah, it's just interesting how the light falls. So I'll tell you what I will do. Grab my phone for a close-up in a second, but next thing I'll do is I'll move the camera across. And if we have a look over here, you see on the boxes there's a bit more light falling on the top than on the sides, which is interesting. So we've got all sorts of funny things going on. It's quite a challenge to paint it. Yeah, in focus, good. But I think I've got the spirit of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, hang on, oh, I do. There's a very slight delay on it. Is that straight? Straightish. Yeah. Go find my
Yeah, it's amazing, Josie, how a sort of slight change of a camera angle can then point out all these different bits of light shining on top of them. So you've got a light which is positioned above them, shining down, and there's a light behind them which is shining across and slightly up.
Shall we change the phone cam?
Change to phone cam. Yeah. See, here we are.
Yeah. So yes, that was a bit of fun.
So just a wee reminder on your arts exhibition that's happening. Date, where it is. Do that again.
Shaftesbury, 31st of July. Window on a World. Hang on. Oh, I'll hold up the poster.
Oh,
Do a screenshot, print it out, stick it on nearby buildings.
bit closer, bit closer, bit
Let's do
closer.
that.
Oh yeah, that's better. Hey.
Yeah. Window on a World. Painting as illusion and invention. So that's a picture which is actually up on the wall up here. Which is in two halves. Yeah. So that's up there in two halves. Hey. Let's get a gimbal or something that moves the camera around smoothly. Yes, well, thank you again for joining me, and see you next week. And what was I thinking of doing next week? Oh yeah, I might do an interior from a photograph next week. So that's something to look forward to. A bit of fun. And see you next time.
Have a good week. We'll see you.